everybody.
And it would build that great foundation, which gets me into the two most powerful things that you've ever told me.
Yeah.
The first one was when we were talking about basically upgrading yourself.
Yeah.
And you said, you know, what iPhone do you have? I go, iPhone 10. And he goes, does that have an aux port? I go, no. But does it have something? And he said, does it have something new? And I go, well, they added a second camera. Mm-hmm. And you go, in life, in order for you to upgrade yourself, sometimes you got to remove certain things to make room for the upgrades.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think about that weekly. But what I think about daily is when we talked about foundation. And you said you had the root canal about 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden your jaw swelled up and you look like Thanos.
Thanos, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you said that's impossible when you went to the dentist. That was removed 19 years ago. And she said, well, they never got the full root. We got to go back.
Yeah, they never got it to the root. So basically what he was saying was, my jaw was like that big. Go to the dentist. They said, well, you got to get a root canal. I'm like, I already had a root canal there. They're like, well, whoever originally did it never got it to the root. So you've got 19 years worth of infection that just showed up on the surface. That I thought about every relationship I ever had, singing group that broke up, every job I ever got fired from, and relationships that other people been in that they know at the root they didn't want to be in, but they stayed in the relationship. And then 5 years later, he cheated, she cheated, he beat her, she beat him, some craziness. But it was all because at the foundation, one of them did not want to be there. So the universe is giving you a sign to leave, get out. So for me, when that happened, it gave me this epiphany about life. I'm like, you know what? If I want to find out and how to get rid of something, how to clear something, how to heal something, it will never happen from the surface. You cannot pull a weed from the surface. You actually got to pull it from the root to remove it. And then you can fill it with like new mulch, new grass and whatever. But everything, all my relationships were being manifested by my very first relationship with my mom. Yes. You know, that's why a lot of times women, they date men who have characteristics of their dad. Yeah. They had a horrible relationship with their dad, or if they had a really good relationship with their dad, all of a sudden they keep dating their dad in many different forms until that's healed or acknowledged. Mm-hmm. But because that's your first mentors. And, you know, whatever my relationship was with my dad, my relationship was with my mom, gave me the foundation. That was the foundation, but it was broken. I had a broken family. And so naturally, if I try to create family, it's going to keep breaking because at the root of family, it's built off the foundation of broke. So I healed my relationship with my dad. Even though he was murdered when I was 12, I got alone in a quiet room and had a conversation with him, apologized for my part, not what he did, what I did, because I took full responsibility. I apologized to my mom and I said, just thank you for everything that you've ever done. And I was really ungrateful, and I said some things and I did some things and I thought some things without making her wrong. Because the freedom was about me and it wasn't about her. However, she needed to see an example of what freedom was like. So all the time when my mom would say things, when she would make food and go to her room, I was eating dinner by myself, me and my brother, like all through middle school and high school. So I said, my mom doesn't love me. So when I went to go apologize to my mom 4 years ago, she was like, you know, baby, every time I went to the room, I would actually go and cry because I didn't think that you appreciated me cooking for you.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow. And in that moment, I removed mom from mom box and I introduced myself to Garrain Jones, who just happens to be my mom. she removed son from Sunbox, and she introduced herself to Garrain Jones, who just happens to be her son. And we formed a relationship there. And we've been inseparable ever since. And she's such an incredible woman. And when she does things that used to annoy me, I now know that was her way of saying, I love you. When she was a valedictorian, so she'd correct me whenever I spelled things wrong on social media, which I was in special education classes and I never even learned punctuation. And so now I used to get pissed off. Now I just say, I love you too, Mom. Thank you. Because that's the way she expresses love. And she only knows what she knows. Just like I only knew until I knew better. When I knew better, I could see the box that I was living in.
Wow. So do you think you'd be able to have the relationship you now have with your wife, Blair, if you never had that conversation?
Absolutely
with your mom?
not. Absolutely not. If I did not, because see, I've always heard people say, leave the past in the past. And here's what I want to say to that. Not if you didn't get the lesson. Because if you don't get the lesson, you're going to have to pay for it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So because I went back, I realized people always said, there's gold at the end of the rainbow. The gold is at the beginning of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And so that gold is when I went back to my root, cleaned it up, but I cleaned up my part. It wasn't about how my mom was going to respond. It was, I said this, I thought this, and I just want to thank you for everything that you've done, because you've done the best that you did with what you know. And I love you. And I want to create the possibility of us, having a fun, loving, incredible relationship.
Yeah.
So from the space of nothing, you can create anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I created and verbalized it, the relationship I wanted, yes, which is the one that I now have. But I also have that with my wife.